Alright, this video we'll go through today will walk you through the basics of backing. As you can see, the definition here from the handbook. It basically says be careful, and don't back unless you need to, especially on the roadways. And so as we go through some of these backing exercises, I want you to keep in mind most of the time where you're backing, and that is in parking lots, driveways. And so although we may back on streets, usually we try to avoid that so we don't have to do that too often. So as we go through, hopefully we teach you a couple basics and prepare you for backing in the real world, as well as passing the backing portion on your test. Alright, so here one of the main things we want to do before we get in the car. Alright, take a walk around, make sure there's no shopping carts, little kids behind you, and this will help you as we go through the exercises, knowing that there's nothing immediately behind your car, as it's almost impossible to see no matter how we look to find it unless we look before we get in the car. Alright, so on your road test, it doesn't ask for a whole lot. It asks that the driver can look over their shoulder and back a straight line. So hopefully we get you prepared for that, but more importantly, hopefully we can kind of teach you a few basics so that you can apply a little bit more difficult skills in your backing throughout your driving. Alright, so as that driver just backed a straight line, they would have passed their test. Alright, but as I asked them to back into this parking stall, as they're looking over their shoulder, they can see the tall dumpster, and they were told to park into the stall next to it. So they do a pretty good job. They figured out the basics, but they didn't know how to finish it and actually to park in that stall. And hopefully as we walk through this today, we'll be able to let you have confidence that you can back into a stall, back out of a driveway, any situation that you're put in, and hopefully feel a little bit more comfortable with it. So they do a decent job. They can see the main area they're going in, that there's not people or cars, but then they're having a hard time finishing it, and hopefully that's something we can help you out with today. Alright, so as we switch vehicles here and do a basic parking, alright, as I've walked around and already checked, alright, I do a double check to make sure there's nothing sitting on the side of my car. I can use those mirrors. Alright, the main thing though that we want to cover is looking over our shoulder. That allows us to see the major obstacles and helps us actually to back a straight line. So although mirrors will help us to do the fine details, looking over the shoulder is probably the most important and the most demanding part of our time as we're backing. Alright, so as we're looking over our shoulder, we're able to see generally what's around us. Are there cars, bikes, people? Alright, so this is how we'll look over our shoulder for the backing straight on your test. Alright, but sometimes as we're in driveways, alright, we need to see how close are we to that bush or that tree. And this is where our mirrors come in handy. If you lean forward, you're able to see closer to the pavement, so you can see those road markings, end of the sidewalk. Alright, so we can use our passenger mirror, our driver mirror, and these will help us see the sides. And we can help find that line, make sure we're back to where we need to be. Alright, and then once we're there, we always want to look back over our shoulder. Alright, so here I'm going to demonstrate parking into a 45-degree angle park. So as I'm backing now, I can see that there's no cars, but I can't really see where I'm trying to back into. It's kind of a tight spot, so I can see to make sure I'm clear. But then I'm going to show you how to use the mirrors to see a little bit better. Alright, so as I lean forward in my seat and look through my driver mirror, I'm able to see that target, that square I'm trying to get into. I can do the same thing to the other side of the car. Alright, lean forward in my seat, look through the mirror, I can see that cone in the parking spot I'm trying to go into. And this will help you to complete a difficult turn, knowing the landmarks. And then I always like to look over my shoulder to help me with the depth of how far I need to back up. Alright, so as I look, I made it into that stall. Feel pretty comfortable about backing into that situation. Alright, a couple questions. Backing, more so than questions, is a skill that we need to develop. Alright, from the handbook we learned that we can't back on the interstate or really for any main road. And mirrors are important, but the most important part is to look over our shoulders. So the answer would be false. And the first answer would be true. You cannot back on the interstate. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope that you feel a little more comfortable with backing. The best thing you can do is get out and practice.